Let's talk about talk. Let's go deep. We all have something to share. No share with Dr. Dave.
What is the importance of belonging? And why do we all need to belong somewhere? It is built into our human nature. Learn how the powerful philosophy of Ubuntu helps to deliver a simple roadmap to building positive teams and relationships, improving engagement and performance. Get your copy of Belonging and Healing, Creating Awesomeness for Yourself and Others by Dr. Dave Cornelius on Amazon.com. So, welcome to the Knowledge Show with Dr. Dave podcast. I am Dr. Dave Cornelius, your host. We're continuing with the series, Resiliently You, to discover what makes people resilient, to build resilient organizations, and sense belonging and healing. My guest today is Adrian Terry, and I'm so excited to learn more about IT transformation. So, welcome in to our podcast, Adrian.
Good to be here with you, Dr. Dave. Thanks again.
Well, good. So let's just start with a little bit of an elevator pitch about your journey as a leader, for an IT transformation.
Absolutely. Began my career in IT. Had the opportunity to kind of see the plethora of different roles within IT. Learned about the project management discipline, and kind of took to that pretty quickly. So I've served in several delivery roles within the project management discipline. And in the seasons where I served as a PM, I would oftentimes ask, what's the rationale for this project? Why are we doing this? And too quickly, I would lose sight on the why, the rationale for the initiative, not realizing that many of these efforts were needed to help transform the organization, to bring us into a future state. So my career now has me placed closer to the decision-making strategy table where I can help drive transformation.
That's beautiful, man. So let's talk about resilience in the context of leading an IT transformation. How do you define resilience in that context?
So yeah, IT transformation, the transformation itself, I kind of see it as a vehicle that can help an IT organization achieve greater resiliency. And kind of the two main avenues or doorways for achieving that are to transform because leaders have a vision for creating the new or improving existing capabilities that provide greater value to customers, or two, they transform because of some burning platform, let's say low operational performance, or we're losing lots of revenue. So the first scenario is more preferred over the latter, right? That visionary attitude for transformation, it has its own theology that says we need to have a more preemptive attitude for change as opposed to reacting to things like losing market share or something like that to the competition.
Okay. That's great, for an organization to, place its resilience in the context of having a future vision. Right? I mean, that means you could respond a lot more effectively to competition. But also to expand on that, we live in this world that we call VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Why is resilience such an important skill to cultivate in this type of a world?
Yeah, I really appreciate the VUCA question. So yeah, in this context, to be more resilient means to incorporate operating routines, right? Ways of working that are more gymnastic than traditional ways of working. So while the usual tenets for transformation might be to always reduce operating costs, increase revenues, improve margins, the ultimate goal with resiliency is to improve stability by helping the organization become more elastic. And that word really sticks with me when I think about VUCA and transformation and the relationship between those two. When this is done using a flexible strategic planning model and tools like horizon planning, then the organization is equipped to address those four elements of VUCA: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity.
Yeah, and and part of that resilience is also having the ability to be flexible as well. The adaptive, agile context to live within a VUCA world itself, right?
Exactly, exactly, exactly. I hear the word agile being used so much, and I know you are hearing it as well. So leaning on new words to kind of sell the same thought and theme, whether it be gymnastic or elastic, it will hopefully achieve the same goal. But at the end of the day, it's still about agility, to your point.
Yeah, and I've been playing around with the word adaptive as another replacement for agile, for some people. But what
Absolutely.
about you? What about you? What makes you resilient? I know you're resilient.
um, yeah, well, we talk about being gymnastic, being elastic, right? I want the same thing for myself now. Because of my capacity is somewhat limited because of everything I'm involved with. I don't have the opportunity to exercise as much as I probably would like. That's one form of resiliency. But um, from a knowledge perspective, I have an ongoing quest to understand what I don't know, so I can make plans to learn it. I just have this genuine fear of being ignorant. And so I want to know everything that I'm supposed to know. So my passion for learning, I think it has distinguished me from my peers. Um, and just to pull a page from Agile specifically, SAFe, I love the idea of lean agile leadership, which provides the value proposition for a growth mindset over a fixed mindset.
That's excellent. That's really excellent to house or couch your resiliency in the context of a lean agile leader. Awesome. So let's go a little deeper and let's talk about how do we deliver value through an IT transformation. And I want to make sure when you answer this, can you provide a definition of what it means to deliver value?
Yeah, and I know depending on your circle of friends, where you work, where you operate, your definition is going to be built upon probably that context. So that's true for me and the answer that I might provide to your question. But I think it is as simple as recognizing there's always going to be the next new technology, the next new way of working. And so the IT transformation can serve as kind of the tip of the spear for those initiatives that accelerate the adoption of those two themes. So value through the transformation oftentimes is seen in the development of, let's say, an ultimate value proposition, a UVP, a minimal viable learning, an MVL or an MVP, minimal viable product. And I think a fourth container for delivering value is in the generic form of opportunity assessments. So the transformation may not own these efforts long term, but they can help drive the evaluation of opportunities to determine which opportunities are best fit, right fit for the organization. So to transform, oftentimes we are exploring something new. We want to build our confidence around it, and the transformation can help us achieve that level of visibility that we need. So a good example is an organization's interviewing process. So I'm thinking of an example where the transformation took on the idea of initiating panel interviews to help improve the speed for onboarding new talent. Value is realized on behalf of both the hiring managers and the employees as a result of improving just that one process.
No, that's really good. That's really good to see how we could tie those two together. So let's talk about some tangible benefits gained by the organization, by an IT transformation.
Yeah, I really like this question because we talk about realizing the value, right? In addition to realizing value from the transformation initiatives themselves, it has a lot to do with knowledge management and what we learn as a result of delivering, let's say, each one of those value items. So knowledge management is improved because of the frequency and the volume of those discoveries, right? To realize this benefit, then I think a transformation team needs to be sourced from a good cross section of the organization, right? You need a variety of learners, if you will, have a high degree of collaboration in and outside of the department, right? We want to know IT very well as the business partners that we might coordinate with. And no doubt exercising good psychological safety and transparency. And again, another good agile tenet, delivering on value early and often. And I know I said a lot just in that list, but scaling all of those routines has infected our broader organization in a very positive way.
No, I like the way you established this, because one of the things that happen often, benefit realization, as we would say, have we realized the promise? Right? We're going to do all these great things, but having the ability to measure and assess that we have achieved the things that we promise is really important as well. So let's talk about your experience, that you have had when the IT transformation actually shifted the culture of the organization, made it different, made it fun to work, made it really cool. I'd love to hear about that.
Absolutely. When you think about a transformation, and I've had the opportunity to engage leaders at my level in other non-competing industries to learn about their stories and their transformation. Still, some large organizations are treating the transformation like using a project mindset, meaning they have a set of targets, they have a set of objectives that they want to achieve. That's great, but they kind of have this expiration date hanging on the end of the transformation. And so when I say a culture shift, that could have been an approach that we could have taken. But for us, the day we learned about the nature of transformation, really understood it, we were coming out of a move from a new operating model. But as part of that move, we realized that we're always going to be transforming to the next new. And transformation is ongoing as long as there is change on the horizon, which, this, Dr. Day, that's constant in the IT context. So rather than give the transformation this expiration date, an end date for this really, really big project, we decided to keep it ongoing. It's the difference between launching a transformation with specific operational goals and targets versus standing up a transformation office to continuously lead those transformation requirements. So again, whereas the former has an expiration date, if you will, the latter is more of a longer term function, like you would your everyday PMO.
Yeah, it's and some people are trying to sort of having a transformation management office. They're using terms like VDO, like a value delivery office, in some ways. Do you think there's a difference between the two?
I think it could be just a play on words. When I think about a TMO transformation, or let's say a VDO, that value delivery office, sounds like that they just want to pour concrete on the specifics for why the transformation exists. And, from a marketing perspective, I appreciate the savviness of that. It keeps the team and everyone involved with transformation centered around that word value. And I liken that back to my days as a project manager, like I said at the beginning of our conversation here. Into the weeds with a project, you can oftentimes lose sight that you're delivering value. You're part of the transformation. So I can appreciate that really on both sides of the fence.
Yeah, thanks for that context. Now, as we come to a close in our conversation, what words of encouragement would you like to gift the listeners with today? I know you're going to preach, so come on, bring it.
Well, yeah, rather than a long sermon, how about we just do a sermonette on this last one, right?
All right, I'll take that.
Keep it short and sweet. Yeah, words of encouragement. I would say to not transform means you're going to be left behind. We can scale that one comment up or down. At a personal level, creating some separation between you and your peers if you are desiring greater upward mobility, or in the larger context of your global organization. The competitors are not resting, they're not sleeping. They are working to advance their value proposition and increase their market share. So again, coming back to that, to not transform, it means you're going to be left behind. So I would encourage you, as you think about transformation, participate on at least 2 levels if possible. If your organization has a transformation program, see if you can find a seat at that table and help serve in that initiative. The second one, I would encourage you to initiate your own personal transformation. I'm committed to being a lifelong learner. I love learning. I have a very curious mind. Again, coming back to my fear of being ignorant about what I need to know and being caught not knowing what I need to know. So for me personally, I'm seeing positive personal benefits from how each one of those, right? Serving on a larger transformation program and initiating my own personal transformation, they're both feeding each other. And I'm really enjoying the ride right now.
Man, that's great. I could hear it. I could hear the passion in your voice. So I just want to say thank you for, sharing your thoughts, lending your voice to this topic. I think, in the state that we're in, just having conversation about resilience in the context of the work that you're doing is really important. So thank you so much for sharing your voice here today.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. Great topic.
Yeah. So in closing, I would like to say thank you for listening to the Knowledge Share with Dr. Dave podcast. I invite you to come back for more insights and perspectives. They may help you with discovering your resiliently you. Knowledge Share with Dr. Dave podcast is streamed on Spotify, Apple, Audible, and Google, and many other streaming platforms. Thank you, Kayana Brow Hendrickson, for writing the music for this podcast. She's my niece. This podcast, copywritten 2022 by Dr. Dave Cornelius and knowledgeshare.org. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode of Resiliently You in the series as we continue to share our stories and experiences. So, Adrian, I could say nothing more than gratitude. It's been like lots of fun, connecting and working with you. Really appreciate you, brother.
Thanks again.
A game-changing framework for evaluating what it means to create value, deliver value, happy contributing people, satisfied customers, thriving business. Value is one of those concepts everyone thinks they understand until the moment they must describe it to someone else. Deliver value is essential reading for every business owner, executive, manager, entrepreneur, and anyone who cares about the future of work. What are you waiting for? Get your copy of Deliver Value book right now on Amazon.com. Get your free chapters of Deliver Value book right now on DeliverValueBook.com. That's DeliverValueBook.com.
Let's talk about talk. Let's go deep. We all have something to share. No share with Dr. Dave.